And now for the Midterms Minute, a look at the candidates and races that you need to know about, shout about, and support to make sure we have a blue tsunami on November 6th. The primaries are over, the candidates are set, and now it's time to focus on the big picture fight. Everything we do between now and Election Day should be done while keeping the most vulnerable and disenfranchised among us in mind. We've included links to volunteer resources in the show notes, as well as those for Swing Left and the Democratic Party's Red to Blue program for the races we'll be mentioning today, so you know how to help. You can also view every Battleground race at bestoftheleft.com/activism.
Today we're talking about the battleground races in Minnesota. Although Clinton won Minnesota, it was only by 1.5%. With the highest voter turnout in the country, 2016 was the closest presidential election in the state since 1984, and the first time the state had ever voted more Republican than the national average. There are only 8 districts in Minnesota, but 5 of them are battlegrounds this year, making it one of the 5 states that will decide the majority in the House. But Minnesota also has a hotly contested Senate race this year to fill Al Franken's seat. Lieutenant Governor and Democrat Tina Smith was appointed to fill the vacancy when Franken stepped down after misconduct allegations. Smith will now face Republican Karen Housley in a special election this November. The Cook Political Report has this race rated as leaning Democratic.
Now on to the House. In Minnesota's 1st District, Democrat Tim Walz is not seeking re-election because he's running for governor. Now, former Obama administration official and Democrat Dan Feehan will be facing Republican Jim Hagedorn, who's been working hard to scare voters by calling Feehan a radical leftist for socialized medicine, a policy that literally no politicians are advocating for. Obama won here by 2 points in 2012, but Trump surged to win by 15 points in 2016. The Republicans are targeting this district, and the race is considered a toss-up.
In Minnesota's 2nd District, Democrat Angie Craig faces freshman Republican incumbent Jason Lewis for the second time. The two faced each other in the 2016 election, in which Lewis won by just 2 percentage points. Lewis has been called out for sexist and racist statements made on his radio show in 2012, but excused them by saying it was his job to be provocative. The district is extremely competitive, since Obama just barely won here in 2012, and Trump just barely won here in 2016, so it's no surprise that this race is rated as a toss-up.
In Minnesota's 3rd District, businessman and Democrat Dean Phillips is facing Republican incumbent Eric Paulson. Phillips has been endorsed by End Citizens United, while Paulson has the support of Paul Ryan. Misleading GOP-funded attack ads are trying to paint Phillips as a hypocrite on health care despite reality. Clinton won this district by 10 points, and it's currently rated as a toss-up.
In Minnesota's 8th District, Democratic incumbent Rick Nolan is not seeking re-election. Democrat and former state rep Joe Radinovich faces St. Louis County Commissioner Pete Stauber. In a recent New York Times poll, the race was neck and neck, with Radinovich up by 1%. The GOP is also throwing big money at this race since Trump won the district. This race is currently rated as a toss-up. And finally, the race for governor of Minnesota is also neck and neck for a seat last held by a Democrat. Democrat and former 1st District Rep Tim Walz is facing Republican Jeff Johnson, who has been endorsed by Trump. In the previous 10 gubernatorial elections in Minnesota, 6 have resulted in the seat changing party hands. This race is currently rated as leaning Democratic.
If you want to vote in the Minnesota Midterm Elections, your online and paper registration must be received by October 16th. Minnesota does offer Election Day registration and voting, but if you don't have to wait, don't. Absentee ballot requests should be made by Monday, November 5th, and completed ballots must be received by Election Day, November 6th. It's never too early to check registration cutoff dates and absentee ballot request and submission dates in your own state. We highly suggest reviewing your state's important dates and voter ID laws at rockthevote.org as soon as possible to ensure you'll be able to vote in the general election. Links to all the information you heard today, as well as additional resources, are linked in the show notes. And today's Midterms Minute, just like every Activism segment we produce, is archived and organized under the Activism tab at bestoftheleft.com. So if making the blue wave a reality in November is important to you, be sure to hit the share buttons to spread the word about supporting Democrats in battleground races across the country via social media so that others in your network can spread the word too.